Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is our NXT review. And I got to say, I know we're going to have quite a bit to talk about. But I enjoyed this episode of NXT tonight for the most part. Some quality video packages on this show, and I'm not even being like sarcastic. I really enjoyed the video packages that were put together. We got one for War Raiders that was amazing. Velveteen Dream did some cool stuff. And the Ciampa Black video package. Oh my God, guys. So good. We got one opening match that I know my court and commentary will probably have a good bit to say. Cassius Ohno did stuff. Was I impressed? Let's find out. I found out that my hemorrhoids have faces in the forms of EC3 and Kona Reeves. We'll talk about that later. And a phenomenal women's main event with Candice LeRae, Kairi Sane, and Nikki Cross. So, partner, what do you think of tonight's episode of NXT?
It was a really solid episode, man. I definitely enjoyed this episode. It was pretty fun. We got 3 matches, and really of the 3, one of them was a total squash, and the other 2 were pretty solid matches. So I say pretty solid as like a floor, but that main event was excellent. I really enjoyed the main event. And like you said, the real kind of highlight of tonight's show, it's kind of ironic because we had one cinematic in all of Lucha Underground in tonight's episode, and yet NXT went all out with their video packages. It was a great show. If you like sort of the story driven stuff and, you know, the interviews and the backstage promos and the video packages and all that stuff, we got a ton of that stuff, and it's amazing how much they fit into this 1 hour for NXT, and they do a great job of it. Yeah, man, this was a really great episode as far as that kind of stuff goes. So I enjoyed the hell out of it, and I am ready to get into this.
All right, then let's get into our first segment, Heat of the Night. I've got no heats tonight personally. I enjoyed everything about this show, just looking at it in isolation. I know everybody's kind of looking at NXT more as like a tree, just branching off in all different directions. But looking at this episode in a vacuum, no qualms with it, nothing whatsoever. I'm going to hand it over to you, Ashton. Any heats tonight or nitpicks?
Yeah, I actually do have, and I will call this a full-blown heat of the night, believe it or not. And it's probably not what you think it is.
Oh, okay.
Because here's the thing, guys. I already went on my Lacey Evans rant a few weeks ago. I'm not going to rant about Lacey Evans again tonight. She did fine for what it was, whatever. My rant is actually more on the way that Dakota Kai has been portrayed. Because really, like, I don't think anyone would go out of their way to say that Evie was like this total badass killer on the indies or anything. But they have made Dakota Kai seem like she is absolutely pathetic. Like, she, from a kayfabe perspective, she is really pitiful. And I hate that because the way that they're booking her right now is the way that you would expect like a fallen hero who reached the mountaintop and then got knocked off of it and is in a downward stumble to be getting booked like, but she never hit any kind of mountaintop. So they're literally just booking her on this downward spiral, and she's absolutely got no credibility whatsoever to me. Like, there is no reason for anyone to believe that Dakota Kai can beat pretty much anyone at this point. She could face freaking Vanessa Bourne again next week, and I wouldn't even be sure that she would win because she really, just the way that they're portraying her, she is a pathetic loser.
Yeah, man, I mean, I really can't argue with much of your points. Like, I don't know, because to me, you would hope, right, that, you know, this is all setting up for like one grand redemption story for Dakota Kai. But here's the thing, like, we don't really work on hopes or dreams, and I'm not even saying that in a scummy way. Like, we're reviewing things that actually happened, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I wish I could buy into sort of the Cinderella story where she gets knocked down a few pegs and then makes this grand comeback and comes back to beat everyone that she was on that losing streak against, including Lacey. Eventually, you know, having this big crescendo of her winning the NXT Women's Championship. That would be a really cool story to tell. But I really genuinely do not think that they're going for that. I think that they are just kind of booking her. I really do genuinely think that they're booking her as if she is like this established veteran that everyone knows is a badass and can kill everybody, but they want to make her sympathetic. So they're going out of their way to have her lose matches. And maybe they will build her back up. I mean, realistically, they probably will. They're not just going to bitch her out and have her be like completely worthless for the rest of her NXT career and then fucking release her or something. But I don't think she's ever going to win the NXT Women's Championship. If she does, then it's going to take a hell of a lot of repair work to be done to her credibility, because right now she has none.
I mean, nothing more I can really add than that. Again, we deal with what has happened, not with what we hope will happen. And right now she is on a downward spiral. And I mean, you know, I hate to pour salt on that wound, but like it's evident when you lose to Lacey Evans, and I'm not even trying to take the piss out on Lacey Evans. You know that I've even tried to come to her defense, even though like a Randy Orton, apparently as a human being, she's also garbage. But you know, as a performer, you know, she's doing what she can. NXT is doing what they want, you know, with her. I just hope one day that the time comes that Dakota Kai can be the priority. Tonight clearly wasn't that night. But I guess we'll talk more about the match here in a few moments. Do you have any other comments you want to make as far as this segment of the show is concerned?
No, I don't think so. I pretty much aired my grievances, and we can get into the show now.
All right, let us get into our NXT review, and we might as well pick up right where we left off because we open with Lacey Evans versus Dakota Kai. You know, I don't know. Like, Lacey Evans is in such a weird place because on one end I'm like, oh, they seem like they're going to push her, and then I feel like they kind of back off a little bit. This was a night where it's like, oh, are they going to push her? Because it was a solid back and forth match between her and Dakota. I didn't hate it by any means, but it's what I'll tell you what I didn't like about the match that kind of took me out of it. Because Lacey won with the woman's right, and I'll be honest, like I hate right hands as finishers, like anything like that. It's kind of in the same vein as the Samoan Spike to me, and I know you didn't care for that finisher either. It's like it really doesn't do anything for me, but that's more of a nitpick. What I really didn't like about this match from a structural standpoint, Dakota Kai gets her kick sequence in. Like, she kicks Lacey's head off. Like, to me, when Lacey countered and she fought back into it with like that pump handle into the power slam, and then like a few moments later the woman's right, it took me out of it. Because I'm like, she just kicked her freaking head off, and like she's still like conscious enough and with it enough to do these counters and to get these moves off. When we've seen in other Dakota Kai matches, when she gets those kicks in, then it's that kind of like Yoshitonic lung blower maneuver that she does for the win. So, you know, the gripe isn't even like, oh, Lacey Evans won. I would have just structured the match differently where maybe Dakota just misses the kicks, period. Because now, to me, when you have Lacey come back from that, Dakota Kai is all about the kicks. Like, if she gets those kicks off, to me, the match should be the beginning of the end, if not the end. I don't even like that her finisher isn't a kick. But again, that's a minor gripe.
No, dude, I'm glad you said that, because I've been thinking that same thing. Like, okay, she is like the leader of Team Kick. She's all about throwing these kicks. Her kicks are devastating. And then not only in this match specifically do her kicks not, like, it takes her 2 Kaio kicks just to get Lacey down for the running face wash, and then Lacey comes back immediately and hits her finishing sequence for the win. So not only are her kicks ineffective, but her actual finishing move that she wins with has nothing to do with any kicks. Like, we really need to reevaluate this Dakota Kai character here. It's completely, it feels like it's been just completely bastardized at this point.
I think she needs a reset personally, not even in terms of like gimmick necessarily, because I like that she's like this sincere competitor or whatever, but really just in the presentation, just like, you know, give her a kick for a finish, structure her matches better. Like, you know, if you're going to do like a fiery comeback or whatever, maybe do it in a way that isn't going to make me think, because I associate her with the kicks. So when I see her get the kicks, then my next logical leap is, oh, she's going to win. And then, yeah, just seeing Lacey counter like that again, it did take me out of it. So my issues with the match really were more structural rather than result or anything like that.
I also think that there's kind of this weird problem of NXT kind of trying to establish a women's mid card.
Yeah.
Like like Lacey Evans and Bianca Belair and Lacey Evans are like the mid card heels on NXT. Like they aren't in the championship discussion. I know Bianca was supposed to be in the championship discussion, but I wouldn't have expected her to win. So really it's like Lacey is like the mid card heel, Bianca's like upper mid card, and then obviously Shayna main event. And I think that by having a mid card in such a small division where there's only one championship, it kind of gets confusing because like Lacey Evans will beat Kyrie one week, then beat Dakota Kai a few weeks later, and somewhere in between there she'll lose maybe even to, I think she even lost to Kyrie. So like she'll beat Kyrie, then she'll lose to Kyrie, then she'll beat Dakota Kai. So is she going to lose to Dakota Kai, or is she just going to be or are we just going to get presentation wise? We're just going to establish that Lacey Evans is above Dakota Kai in the pecking order. Like, and that's the other thing too, is what exactly are Lacey Evans' ambitions? Like, we already know that she's trying to like bring class to the NXT women's division, but she doesn't really seem to have any kind of championship ambitions, and it wouldn't make sense to pit her against Shayna anyway because of the heel versus heel factor. So like, it feels like they're really trying hard to establish their female heels, but there's not really anywhere for said female heels to go, and they're doing it at the expense of their potential championship contender baby faces. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a precarious game that NXT's playing because, like, you know that I am high on talents like Bianca Belair and Lacey. Like, again, I don't want to completely dismiss her, but, you know, there clearly is a lot of work there that I think needs to be done, if it ever will be done. And, you know, what makes it precarious is that we are currently dealing with a heel champion. So, like, I'm all for, like, having, like, other heels, but really, like, all the energy you're expending, why not just expend it on, you know, giving Shayna more of a platform to me? Because she should be the heel that everybody is kind of nipping at the heels of, so to speak, to try and get that belt off of her. And then when you get a babyface champion, whether it be a Dakota, a Kyrie, a Candice, whatever, then the heels like Lacey and stuff like that can come out of the woodwork. Like, perfect example, right? When Bayley was NXT Women's Champion. I know the reign wasn't that long, but then you were able to take more of a mid-card women's heel like Alexa Bliss at the time because she was managing, you know, Blake and Murphy. She got her title shot. I think it was purely an NXT TV feud. It resolved. But I think you can do that kind of stuff when your babyface is the center. We don't have a babyface at center right now, and I think it's just NXT playing with very shaky ground. So I agree 100% with everything you're saying. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that it's one of those things where like when stuff like this happens and people say like, "Oh, well, they're just trying to establish their heels because they really don't have any credible heels," and I'm just like, "Well, they have fucking Shayna Baszler. Like, what more do you need than a dominant monster heel champion to literally just line baby faces up behind and have her knock them down until one of them overcomes her?"
Exactly. Like, that's really the narrative with which the division should be built around, to me. So again, like, no disagreement between you and I. Again, I'm all for NXT trying to build other talents, but I think when you build other talents, you have to read the room, right? And when I say read the room, like, you have to take stock of what your environment currently is. You have a heel champion in this division. You have baby faces that are hot or could be hot with the right booking and the right support, again, to further the grander narrative of the heel champion.
Yeah.
And then when the heel gets knocked off their perch, you know, then you can look at Lacey and Bianca, who, again, I think very highly. I think she could be one of those premier heels one day. But, you know, then you look at them and you say, okay, you know, we've got Kyrie as champion, or we've got so-and-so as champion. Go out there, show us what you got, you know, get that heat. But now I don't think is really the time, because Shayna is already so legitimate and such a great heat magnet because she's legitimate, right? It's like a circular thing. So I would just focus more on investing that and expanding upon that than just kind of divesting into, okay, we're going to do Lacey this week and Bianca this week, when I think NXT works best when each character gets their own individual story and the time for that story to breathe. Oddly enough, I feel like that's what SmackDown Live has done very well with the Becky Carmella story, you know, because Becky has been putting together these wins, and you can clearly see that Becky is a priority with how she's booked. With how NXT's kind of been booking some of their women, you really don't know who the priority is here
Yeah.
if you're not immediately the champion. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of just substantiate what you said because you already said it perfectly. But yeah, I've got nothing else to say beyond that, man.
So I'm just looking at Lacey Evans on Cage Match, and she's 4-5 this year. She does have a losing record. Well, actually, no. Hang on 1 second. It's one. That's 2, 3. Yeah, she's 4-5 this year. So she does have a losing record, even with this win over Dakota Kai. But coming into this, she was 3-5, right? So coming into this match, she had wins this year over Aaliyah back in January, which Aaliyah, even though she is on the NXT roster, she is like the bottom feeder of the NXT roster. She's the jobber of the NXT Women's Division. And then her other 2 wins, she had one against Brandy Lauren, aka Ava Story, who is an indie wrestler who obviously she was brought in as like a local talent for the purpose of putting over Lacey Evans. And then her 3rd win of the year was the recent one against Kairi Sane. And then she did end up going on to lose to Kairi Sane 2 weeks later. So Lacey Evans has 2 wins over 1 bottom feeder in NXT and 1 local talent. And then she beat Kairi Sane only to then lose to Kairi Sane 2 weeks later. So Kairi got the better of her. And then I also want to add in that she has already lost this year to Nikki Cross, Dakota Kai back in February. So Dakota Kai has beaten Lacey Evans already back in February. And then I already mentioned Kairi Sane. And then she just lost to Candice LeRae just a little while ago. And this would be Lacey's 4th win. But I would also like to add that it's really only her 2nd win against a credible opponent, the first being Kairi, and Kairi then went on to get her win back against Lacey literally 2 weeks later. So it really makes you wonder, like, what are they doing here? Are they trying to build Lacey Evans, or are they just kind of using her as fodder to catapult people up? And if they're just using her as fodder to catapult people up, is that going to happen with Dakota, or is Dakota just going to be the fucking ritual sacrifice?
I wish I had the answers to these questions, but I really don't. You know, like, it really doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, the only thing I could see, but even again, that doesn't make sense to me because of the size of the division itself, is like, oh, well, maybe we want to establish, like, you know, a gatekeeper, kind of like New Japan has with Ishii, you know, when Chaos has the world title. But I'm like, I don't think I couldn't really buy anybody like that. And the people that I could buy like that, it's a lot like Ishii, where I'm like, no, they can be champion themselves. So, like, yeah, with the division size and everything, it just goes back to the points that we've already made. And, yeah, I don't know. I wish I had those answers for you, but I don't. Hopefully NXT kind of reveals them in due time. But until then, Lacey gets the win with the woman's right. God, I hate it so much. And, yeah, she moves on.
All right, so then we got a Kathy Kelly interview with Ricochet, who says that he doesn't like those 2 undisputed morons, but they do at least defend the championships, unlike Adam Cole, who's been hiding behind those guys this whole time, hiding behind the North American Championship. And then he also says that when he finally gets Adam Cole one-on-one, you're looking at the new North American champion.
What did you think about this blasphemy by Ricochet here?
Oh, I can't get mad at him. It's adorable. It's like when a dog chases the mailman, right? You know, he's adventurous. He thinks he's going to get something done, but he wouldn't even know what to do with it if he got his teeth around it. He has no clue what he's doing. Adam Cole is the North American Championship because Adam Cole is the only man in NXT who can handle the North American Championship and everything that comes along with that. Imagine, John, if you will, being the champion of an entire continent. They don't call the NXT Championship the NXT World Heavyweight Championship or even the NXT World Championship. They just call it the NXT Championship because when you're the NXT champion, you are the champion of NXT. Adam Cole is the champion of an entire continent. He's the champion of North America. Ricochet can't handle that pressure. He's a dog chasing a car, and he wouldn't know what to do with it if he caught it.
So just following your logic here, that Adam Cole is a very capable performer. And again, no disagreement here between the two of us. And so Adam Cole is a performer capable enough for handling a continent. It just seems to me then by that logic that Adam Cole has a claim, almost a divine claim, if you will, on the Universal Championship because he's the only one that can handle the universe. I mean, am I following this logic correctly?
Well, so far, the only person that has really proven to be able to handle the weight of the universe has been Brock Lesnar. But I think if Adam Cole gets the opportunity, he might be able to shoulder it.
I'm just following that logic. But no, in all seriousness, did like the promo from Ricochet. I'm gonna be truthful. Like, I've enjoyed Adam Cole's reign as North American champion. You know, nothing critical there. But I'm glad that we're finally getting to meatier feuds for the title. I've been waiting for this, and I think this is the first real feud that this belt has known. And I think what a great tone setter, you know, for it. Like, if these are the kinds of feuds we can expect, that North American Championship really is going to be even potentially a worthwhile stepping stone before the NXT Championship. So yeah, I can't wait for this altercation. I think Adam Cole, I've already said, like, for all the joking we like to do and me like bucking up against the quote unquote cult of Cole, you know, when we're talking seriously, you know, I think Adam Cole is one of the best performers I think WWE has right now. I know I have some friends that violently disagree with that notion, but everybody's wrong about something, right? So, you know, I think
God, what the hell's wrong with them? Have you tried educating them at least?
no, it's really, to me, it's not worth the effort. But you know, I know.
It's a real
I know.
shame, John. It's a real shame.
I'm a disappointment to the cult of Cole again. I'm used to it. But no, he's really done a great job. Really, I have more comments to make, but I want to save them for the Undisputed Era segment because that did come later in the show. But yeah, this was fine by Ricochet, just keeping the focus on him. And as Paul said, he did say bang at the end, so I guess he's got his guns loaded, aiming at Adam Cole. It's just a shame that he's a terrible shot, apparently, trying to go after the man that rules an entire continent. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he really needs to work on that.
So what came after this?
After this, we did get a teaser for tonight's triple threat #1 contendership for the women's championship match, Sane Cross LeRae, and for next week's Ciampa Black NXT championship match. So lots of stuff getting teased. And then we got a Street Profits segment. And John, I don't even know what to make of this. All I know is that they were on a basketball court and they were shooting hoops, and Montez was doing push-ups on the basketball while Angelo Dawkins was pep talking him. He was trying to get inside his head, trying to really give him that motivation. And then they said, TM61, we coming for you, but it's not TM61 anymore, guys. It's the Mighty. This must have been shot like 3 months ago.
Yeah, I'll be truthful with you, dude. I was so enamored with like some of the other production stuff that was shown to us tonight. I even forgot this happened. So I'm glad you brought this up. I legitimately, like, if I was making show notes, I totally would have glossed over this. So good catch by you there. At least one of us has to be responsible, right? I don't really care for Street Profits. They're kind of in that Cassius Ohno territory for me. Cassius Ohno, though, may be making moves. I don't even know yet. I don't know with NXT. But with these guys, you know, Montez Ford to me is the diamond. Angelo Dawkins. I hate to write NXT talents off. Again, I haven't even written Lacey Evans off. I'm ready to write Angelo Dawkins off. He's been in the system how many years? I feel like he's barely moved the needle. Hey, but you know what, though? I will say I am wrong by the one metric that actually matters, and that's by the crowd that they perform in front of, because they do seem to be into the Street Profits. So, you know, I guess that's a thing. But I don't care for them to face the Mighty. You know, again, I know, like, it'd be hypocritical to be like, oh, you know, all this when I was saying how we have a heel women's champion. We do have heel tag champions. So obviously the Mighty can't go after the tag titles, but there are much worthier competition out there, like, you know, fucking War Raiders and stuff like that. That's what I want to see from the Mighty. I really don't care what the Street Profits have to say. And yeah, that's just kind of my thoughts on it, if I'm truthful.
All right, man. Well, I guess we can move on then, because I also have literally nothing to say about this, but I know you'll have at least a little something to say about this next segment.
Oh, which was?
EC3.
Oh my God.
Someone came up to him in the lobby and said, EC3, a few weeks ago, we saw you make your entrance while Velveteen Dream was still in the ring. What was that about? And he just basically told us that it was about the betrayal at Royal Albert Hall, where EC3 was kind of left to fend for himself in that tag match against Ricochet and Aleister Black. And then as he continues walking, he sees none other than Kona Reeves. Ladies and gentlemen, John just expressed how we all feel about Kona Reeves.
You know, I should have known. I'm a smarter man than this. I'd like to think that I'm a pretty intelligent human being. And I'm not going to scream and pop my top off because, quite honestly, Kona Reeves isn't worth that life that I'd use to give him such a rant. But, given that Ishii won, given that B Block was amazing today, and then the downward spiral started, Mundo lost. But hey, Vibora, great, no problems there. So I'm like, it's a fair day. I broke even. I felt like, I took my lumps, but Ishii won. I'd do that for my pit bull, right? And then it's like, well, how much do you really love your pit bull? Because we're gonna take Cancer in EC3, and then we're gonna take another guy that if your hemorrhoids had a face, like it would look like Kona Reeves, and we're gonna put them in a room together, and we're gonna have them have an extended exchange, and we're gonna see how much you can take it. Like this is something worthy of a goddamn saw trap. This was so goddamn painful. And the worst part is actually even before that, the worst part is maybe I was prepping my body for what was coming because EC3 did get a chuckle out of me where he's like, he was talking to this guy and EC3 was like, oh, here's this new EC3 shirt. They had a little bit of banter before that. I can't recollect it for the life of me. And it's like, go ahead. You can have it. I'm rich. And that just, I'm rich. I don't know.
That made you laugh? That made me roll my eyes. Like, who's writing this dialogue?
I chuckled because, like, he's such a caricature that it comes around to being a bit funny for me.
Okay.
Because it's like when I play Monopoly and I'm so proud that I made 3 people homeless, even though in my real life, like, I'm a very avid communist. It's just like when you're able to step into the role and be the caricature, I don't know, some comedy ensues. Then Kona Reeves happened. Like, another person that I'm sorry, I'm going to have to write off because he even said, like, in a promo, like, I'm not a rookie. I've been here 3 years. Wait a minute. You've been here 3 fucking years. And this is the pathetic excuse of shit that you can come up with in 3 years. Like, I hear that NXT is always in the red, probably because of, like, the major talent that they sign. You could at least scrape a few more pennies together by axing this motherfucker, right? Because I can guarantee you, whatever he's being paid is too much. And I never really like to talk this way about a performer. For as much as I'm Johnny Scumbag, right? I never really go there with a lot of people. I'm usually more fantastical than that. But this dude's a fucking waste. I'm telling you, somebody needs to pull him aside and be like, look, Kona, this wrestling thing, it isn't going to work out. Like, Kona Reeves is the reason why the one thing you'll always hear wrestlers tell other prospective wrestlers is finish your education. Because Kona Reeves is the reason why there are backup plans, folks. Like, I fucking hate this dude. And you know what? Maybe that means he's working on some perverse level because you've even said, Ashton, like it's a new Bo Dallas. If I can hate him this much, then maybe I'm the mark here. Maybe I'm just getting severely warped and I'm blinded by my allegedly superior intelligence, right? Like, oh, I know things. Maybe I know nothing. Jon Snow. Maybe this guy really is a great heel. But I look at him and I'm like, if I saw live somebody bludgeoning you with a tire iron, I would not have one inkling to pick up the phone to call 911 at all. I would just watch it happen and I'd probably spread it like fucking wildfire. Or like you, spread it like what you are, and that's fucking herpes. So yeah, that's pretty much what I felt about this. I know that didn't exactly explain the segment. I just, in the words of Leslie Knope, everything hurts and I'm dying, is pretty much how I felt watching this. Do you have anything you'd like to add?
I don't even know how to respond to what you just said. I've literally never experienced you hating someone who isn't even in politics this much.
Yeah, and the shocking thing is I did it relatively calmly. Like, this wasn't even like, that very it's just a very distilled and pure hatred. I mean, it might be like Jim Cornette to Vince Russo hatred. I don't know. We might get there. I will say this just to give you something to grab onto and just so that I can do my job because at least one of us has to, right, Kona? He makes fun of EC3 for his watch. his quote unquote fake spray tan.
See, that's the thing though. It was like backhanded compliments because he was like, "Oh yeah, that's nice. That's really nice. That till the time for you. It's not the finest." And he was like just saying stupid shit. And then he brought up the spray tan, and EC3 was like, "Ha ha ha! I get it. It's not the finest." But then EC3 legitimately clapped back, and what EC3 said had me rolling.
Yeah, because he's just like, "Oh, you know, I get it. It's not the finest." But and then I think he said, like, if you want to if you want to engage in like wordplay with me, you better bring your A game, because I'll chew you up, I'll spit you out, and you know, I'll just make you regret it, son. You know, that kind of thing. Like, don't step up to me in a verbal kind of, you know, war of words, a sparring of words, unless you're gonna bring your best. And then, like, you know, he's like, "Oh, let's settle it in the ring. This is EC3 to Kona." And Kona's like, "Oh, you know, not here." Like, "Oh yeah, you want to fight? You know, not here." And you know, then EC3 walks off, and then Kona's like, "Oh, you know, you want to fight? It's fine, but we could have been friends." And I'm like, thank God that didn't happen. You know, I still need a reason to live. You know, if those two had come together, I'd probably be royally screwed. So these two are probably going to interact on a future NXT episode. And I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm rooting for EC3, which again brings me to the central point of my side of things. Fuck you, Kona Reeves. You're making me root for EC3.
Which kind of brings back my point. Kona Reeves as a character is awful, but it works because it makes you cheer for whoever's standing across the ring from him.
Probably the most effective heel I've ever seen, because the scumbag in me wants nothing to do with it. It's like that kid that wants to join all the other kids that are smoking, but like they know he's a fucking poser. So they're like, "Ew, no, all this lung cancer is for us because you're already existing cancer. Like, you can't hog all the cancer." And, you know, he's the fucking worst. I really hope somebody fires him. I hope he ends up on Impact and he becomes their world champion, because that's exactly what they would deserve. Can we talk about something else, please?
Yeah, totally, dude. We can totally move on. Actually, you know what? I know you're gonna want to talk about this next thing because it's the big old like Ciampa Black video package hyping for their match next week. I timed it, John. This was 3 minutes and 30 seconds long. This entire video package was 3:30.
Dude, it was 3 minutes and 30 seconds of excellence. Like, I'm gonna kind of jump the gun here, right? And I'm just gonna say, because of this and because of the Velveteen, well, actually, really everything, this, War Raiders and Velveteen Dream, my honorary high spot tonight, this way I can at least keep my real high spot for the segment, is like the Full Sail production team. I don't know if it's students, I don't know if it's more like veterans or both, like maybe a mixture of both. Whoever it is, like, you fucking owned it tonight, because this really was their episode of NXT with how much of this kind of content we got. And they killed it. This was so well done. And dude, and I am being 100% sincere with you right now, right? Because you know I love Johnny Mundo and you know I love Marty and this and that. Is there a better character in wrestling right now, and especially on the heel side of things, than fucking Ciampa? Because here's the thing. I was talking with my friend Angel, who you know. He's a big wrestling fan like we are. And we're talking about the whole dichotomy of like spots versus characters, like performers that don't really have well-defined characters, but they can do all the in-ring stuff, and character performers. And I told him, like, I love people that can go the distance, and I love people that can be both, by the way. I mean, a character and doing the stuff. I mean, that's just ace right there. But if I had to pick, it's always better, in my eyes, to go with the character, because every wrestling match in its own way should be a kind of story. I have said over and over, this is not a sport. It is an art. I liken it to theater. So I will always go with character performers. And my God, dude, Ciampa just does it. Not that he's bad in ring by any means. I get into his matches. But where this man excels is his character. So committed to it, by the way, he takes it to social media and every other kind of corner of his life. Like, he would have fucking thrived in the era, right, where kayfabe was the creed. Like, protect the gimmick at all costs. This dude just gets it. And I love the edits and the cuts they do with his words, where it's like, you know, all I need is one shot. All I need is that one chance. And your title reign. And then, you know, just does that. And then Black's like, You know, you think you understand demons, and then they've got, or you think you understand devils, and then they've got the fans screaming at Ciampa, "You're the devil, Ciampa! You're the devil!" And it's like, you don't know anything about it. And, you know, so Black's like defending himself. And then we go to Ciampa being like, "Boy, you better watch what you say." And he lays him out with the DDT, which, my God, thankfully somebody has brought the venom back into it, because maybe Orton, now that he's a heel, but somebody had to pick up the slack while he was gone. And my God, has Ciampa ever done that? But the best cut of all to me was the fucking like last 30 minutes, the minute to 30 seconds, where Ciampa says, "I've already said you've got something that I want." And Black says, "You will never possess this." And he poses with the NXT title. And Ciampa says, "All I need is one shot, one opportunity, and your title reign will fade, bump against the wall, to set up on table, Black, DDT, screen cuts to Black, and the goosebumps have invaded my fucking arm. This is art. Everything this man does, and the company using their resources they have. Because again, I do want to give credit to the production team. It's not like Ciampa put this together, but like they had such great material to work with, because he's a great fucking performer. And you know what? I've praised Alistair enough, like all through the months. Honestly, I'm waiting for him to be called up, if I'm truthful. Like, I just feel like his reign isn't really anything of like what I envisioned it to be. That's not necessarily his fault. I just think he's a better chaser than a champion, at least in the context of the NXT title. It all depends on how people are positioned and stories are told. But Ciampa, my God, does this man just get it? Like, I honestly think he's one of the best things in professional wrestling, period, right now, because he's just so attuned to what it's about and to what his gimmick is. And yeah, like, I love him for that. But like on a real level, like, is the man despicable? Yeah. And he gets "fuck you, Ciampa" chance to fucking close takeovers. The man doesn't even have a theme, because his theme is literally heat. Amazing. Amazing. I got goosebumps watching this. I watched it like, because we had a good bit of time before even going live here. I watched it, especially again the last minute and 30 seconds, at least 5 times. And I'm not even done watching it. I can tell you, it's gonna be like the Avengers trailer for me when that first came out. I'm just gonna watch this until we get to the title match next week. This was awesome, dude. I loved it. So big ups to Full Sail's production team. You guys fucking owned it. This was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, this was an amazing video package, extremely well done. And John, you kind of narrating it and kind of explaining, you know, kind of the ebbs and flows of it is better than any kind of commentary I could add to it. So I think we should just move on. Up next, we had our second match of the night, which was Cassius Ohno versus Rick Ramirez, which was literally like 15 seconds long.
Yeah, I mean, the knockout artist, right? Doing whatever, knocking him out. He seemed like a bit intense. I keep wanting him to turn heel. I don't know if he will. Whatever. It was a squash. He didn't have any kind of a post-match promo or anything that would really allow us to latch on to anything. So I'll tell you what, dude, let's just move on.
All right, then actually, no, you know what? I do want to give Ohno props here. The way that he handled this, I thought that it was a great example of why he's so dangerous. It made him look like facing local talent is beneath him, and it made me want to see him in bigger, more important matches. So there's some props to Cassius Ohno.
Well, there you go. That's awesome, dude. All right, now we can move on.
Then we got our Undisputed Era promo, talking about how the tag titles are back where they belong. And then they did kind of make fun of Ricochet for a little bit because he was like, "Oh, I was this close." And they're just like, "Oh, do you know what he was really trying to say?" And they were just like, "No, I don't speak loser."
Yeah, I laughed at that. I'm like, that's so grade school, but so hilarious.
Yeah.
It's all in the delivery, man. An Undisputed Era, just so good at that. But what did you think of this? Because I mean, Cult of Cole, obviously, and Adam Cole addressing his blasphemer Ricochet.
Yes. How dare you, Ricochet? But we were able to laugh it off because we know that Ricochet isn't really a threat. We know that Adam Cole is superior in just about every way. The only way that he's not superior is that maybe Ricochet can jump higher, which, I mean, really, how's that going to win you a wrestling match?
I love you. Yeah, man, I still have to say, Like, I loved Lucha Underground tonight, and I'm Worldwide Underground forever. You know that. But again, I can't lie up here. Like, I love joking and being scumbag and being the mark, but I know the more appropriate space for that is like Twitter and live reactions when we do these reviews. I've always got to be truthful, and Undisputed Era is still the faction to beat. I look at this collective with all the gold and the Dusty Trophy. Like, honestly, again, not to show my hand too early, and I don't know if we've ever done this, but like, I know I couldn't even really technically do it because it's Superstar of the Year. But if I could really just give like all around who had the best year, I would want to give it to Undisputed Era as a collective because they are owning 2018, dude. This faction, I don't even know if there's any stopping the momentum that they've got. I know all momentum has to end eventually, but I'm just freaking loving the ride. And I mean, and again, these guys are cool. They're credible. They're vicious. They get the job done. And I like all the members. It doesn't have the NWO problem of, hey, throw that guy a shirt. It is a very core group of guys that have a very deep relationship with each other. And it shows. And these guys are amazing. I can't say enough good things about them. Just really amazing television to watch.
Yeah, they're so great as a unit. And I really love sort of the style of promo that they're using here, because this is unlike anything we've ever seen in NXT with like the multiple camera setup, and they kind of zoom in on each guy as they speak, and then they kind of zoom back out and we kind of see like this grand panel shot of all four of them together, and they're like hanging out in the back, and then once in a while Adam Cole will get down to business and get really serious and talk straight into the camera, talking to his opponent and stuff. Like, I love the style of these Undisputed Era promos. I never really gave it credit where it was due, but this is great stuff.
Yeah, dude, to me, like, I love that it does kind of have, because did you ever see like NWO promos from WCW when they'd have like the black and white filter and stuff?
Yeah, it's very similar to that. The only big difference to me is that they are more likely to actually like acknowledge the camera and talk to the camera than NWO were. The NWO, it was, I mean, I guess they did that too, but the NWO, it felt more like these guys like talking to each other about how they're going to destroy everything.
Yeah, like, that's what I love about the Undisputed Era vignettes as well, is like they are very conversational in tone. It's like somebody reported to them what the other guy or people said, and then they're just having a gas about it. Like, oh, wasn't it hilarious that Ricochet opened his face and and like, they have a good laugh about it, which I love it, because who's gonna stop them from laughing? Now, obviously the answer is whatever babyface steps up to them, but like, they have the credibility and just the momentum and everything where it's like them laughing is actually understandable. Like, it doesn't feel like a tired out trope or like whatever, doesn't feel lazy. It's like, yeah, laugh it off. I mean, you've got everything right now save for the NXT world title, but that feels inevitable too, honestly. It's just, I love these guys, and I honestly, we could spend the whole podcast praising them, but I know we've got other things to talk about. So what came after this?
Yeah. All right, man. Well, after this, we got our big War Raiders video package, which was really almost like one of those, like, who is Fergal Devitt or who is Bianca Belair or whatever. It's like who are the War Raiders? We got this video package where, they kind of explained how they came together back in 2014. They were on opposite sides of a tournament match, and they had both been in the business for over a decade each at that point, but they'd never been, they never even met each other, much less been in the same ring together. And they beat the absolute shit out of each other. And when you go to war like that, there's no greater respect to be earned than that. And they kind of came with the idea, like, what would happen if we took that fight and hit everyone else as hard as they hit each other? And then we get footage of them in Progress and ICW. And they talk about they took inspiration from Vikings. And one of the images that they show even had Tanahashi in it, which I marked out for. I popped so much. And then we get to see about how Ray Rowe had his motorcycle incident 4 years ago. And he even comes out with the line, if I can overcome death, how can you even hope to beat us? I just want to add, like, before you get into this, I just feel like Ray Rowe absolutely stole this segment. That dude is a natural talker. He is one hell of a promo. Now, don't get me wrong. Hanson isn't bad by any means. I think Hanson did pretty well here too. Like, I don't want to try and, talk anything negative about Hanson. He did well, but Rowe really stood out to me. He is a hell of a talker. And I would say, like, just based on this segment alone, he might be in like the top 10 male mic workers in the company right now.
Which, first of all, I want to say I'm so glad you talked at length about this, because I know you really loved this when you first saw it, because you even said to me, dude, I love that War Raiders. I mean, I just kind of smiled, because it's not that I didn't love it. It's just I got to talk so much about Black Ciampa, which I really loved, and then you really loved this. So really cool, man. And yeah, like, I think it's so cool that we found like what Rose real gift is, because it's not that he's bad in ring, but I always feel like that was more Hanson's thing, you know, because he's such a big dude.
And that was the other thing too. They even acknowledged, like, Hanson was like, he is the smaller competitor, but he is the power of this team. And then Rowe was like, yeah, and he, who, you know, we already see, like, Hanson's the bigger guy, he can fly. And we got like little highlights of Rowe doing like the strikes and the power stuff. And then we got the highlights of Hanson doing like the cartwheels and the top rope lariats and the suicide dives and stuff. Like, I loved this video package, and I loved their dynamic here. And they, like, this was just great to me.
So I love too that, again, we've really discovered that Rowe does have a talent for speaking, you know, and that's really cool, because that only to me further strengthens the synergy of the overall team. Like, Hanson will be the one to give you the moments. Rowe will give you the backdrop for the moments and why you should care about them in the first place. Again, going back to those characters and the story. I don't want to misquote him, Ashton. My favorite part of this, and that's why I want to get it right, Rowe talked about the like the motorbike accident that he got in and that he should have died. But I think he said, if death couldn't stop me, then no team has any hope of beating us, or something like that. Like, if we overcame death, then no team has any chance of beating us. And I love that. That gave me goosebumps, because it's like, man, you just called out death. And now when you say that, like, you escaped the clutches of death, I'm kind of like that that meme, that gif where it's like the guy raising his finger and he wants to make a point, but he's just stuck. He's like, damn. And I'm the same way, because it's like, well, if you beat death, shit, I guess there's really no point in me trying. So if you just want to take these tag titles, you know, it's nice knowing you. So there you go. You know, and I'm just kind of bowing out. Though? Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, I can't argue with somebody that beat death. So I mean, you know, I'm not a tag team specialist, so you can just take my half. And yeah, like, when you make that kind of argument for yourself, as long as the booking stays consistent, if I'm a casual viewer and somebody makes that argument to me, I'm thinking these guys should have the fastest ascent to the tag team titles in NXT history. Like, nobody should stop these guys. So yeah, I love this. I love how much they believe in themselves, like, as a gimmick. I love the whole backdrop. I even learned things. I never knew that these guys started out as opponents. I just thought they were willed into the universe as a tag team. So that was really cool. I learned a lot of stuff, which I think is always a bonus with stuff like this. So yeah, nothing but good things to say about it, man. It was fucking beautiful.
Yeah, I loved this. All right, man. Well, I think we've about exhausted what we can say about this, so we can move on to the Velveteen Dream vignette, where this, like, I don't even know how to describe what happened here. He snaps his fingers, and all of a sudden, everything around him is just darkness. And then he does, like, he points and he says, ambiance, atmosphere, illumination. And he does it in the same way that EC3 points to the letters on the Titantron. Like, he pointed to the left and then to the middle and then to the right, like it was the EC3 entrance. He said the ambiance, atmosphere, illumination. And then he turned around and said, experience. Can you hear it? The Dream can hear it. Still hear people buzzing about what the next experience is going to be. At War Games, the world said Dream's name. In Philadelphia, the Dream had a knockout performance. At TakeOver New Orleans, Dream rose to heights that you couldn't possibly imagine. TakeOver Chicago, another match of the year for the Dream. And in Brooklyn, these lights, the spotlight still shines the brightest on the Velveteen Dream. Dream over.
I loved it again. I loved it again. I love too that at the start, this had a vibe of that, like, a music video was going to go down. Like, he was about to drop the freshest track of 2018. And then he pretty much gives, like, a career highlight reel like in video package form, and it just comes off so well. Again, another guy, and I know we did kind of see him exposed a little bit in the match with Ricochet, because we talk about like the work rate and stuff like that in the ring. But this is another guy again where when it comes to the character, when it comes to telling those stories, this guy at 21 is insanely good. And I would argue that at the end of the day, the thing that he's insanely good at is the essence of all quality professional wrestling. So, like, for him to be that good at that at such a young age, I'm just going to say it. If this dude is not a world champion on the main roster, you're doing it wrong. Because I don't even know if he's going to win the NXT title anymore. I've kind of wavered on that a little bit. But if when this dude gets called up, because rest assured, folks, he will be called up probably sooner rather than later at this trajectory, at this rate. If he is not a main event talent, at the very least on SmackDown Live, because I always kind of temper my expectations with Raw for obvious reasons, you're really doing it wrong. Like this dude is so freaking good, and this video package just highlighted it. And I can give him a bit more credit here because I loved his talking bits the same way I love Ciampa's talking bits and his one with Black. I love wrestling, man. This is the kind of stuff that just puts a big smile on my face. So good.
Yeah, this was awesome. And you know what? We're going to just keep it up with the awesome. Man, this really was an NXT that started bad and just got amazing by the end of it. It's like every segment, it was just better and better and better and better. Because we went from Dakota Kai being made out to look pathetic to Ricochet, who's not really that good of a talker, making fun of Adam Cole, that kind of stuff, to the Street Profits cringe fest, to the EC3 Kona Reeves bullshit. And then it's like the second part of NXT starts, and we get nothing but amazing from then on, because then we get the Black Ciampa video package, Ono returning to dominance, Undisputed Era promo, War Raiders video package, Velveteen Dream vignette, and finally our main event, Nikki Cross versus Kairi Sane versus Candice LeRae, NXT's Women's Championship #1 contendership match, Shayna Baszler on commentary. An amazing match for NXT television. This is a match that I legitimately could have bought on a takeover, and it was on NXT TV. This was great,
dude. Wait, actually, no. You know what? Do you have any like moments or anything, or just anything in particular that you want to highlight? I do want you to go.
I love how split the crowd was. The crowd couldn't decide who to cheer for, and even though I am a little disappointed we didn't get any Kairi Candice dueling chants, because every dueling chant revolved around Nikki Cross, I can still appreciate how into this match this crowd was.
Yeah, I have to say, this is a rare time because, hey, I've taken my shots at Full Sail, but, I think when it's positive, you should point that out as well. I know that's a philosophy we try to abide by. They were great. I love how into all three of these women they were. Like, this is what gives women's wrestling a positive rep, right? This is what gives it a good name that it needs, is reactions like this and is matches like this. Again, though, not to take it away, because I know once I start talking, I won't stop. Is there anything you want to like spotlight that you really loved about this, whether it's like spots or performers or anything like that?
I just said it was the big thing about the crowd, so you can go ahead, man.
All right. Just wanted to make sure, because I know if that was just one point of many or what.
The only thing I'll add is that I just love Candice's lion salt. She's just awesome.
Dude, yeah. But I want to work a bit backwards here. Shayna, I thought, killed it on commentary.
See, I was a little bit annoyed with her on commentary. It might have been like just like a heel working thing, but her being so like flippant about this match and who wins, like if you don't care, why are you on commentary?
I mean, I guess it's a fair point, but I do almost feel like that is kind of a working thing, because I felt like she had some great lines here. My favorite line easily was at one point in the match where Nikki was in control, and Mauro just asked her, like, did you learn anything from your match with Cross at TakeOver? And then Shayna just replies that I can beat her. And I'm like, oh, God, yes. Like, I will say, though, if anything, and I would just make a minor adjustment, I wish she would have given her opponents more credit in that ring. And maybe that was your...
That's what I was saying. Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you really don't care who's going to win this match, if you're really just completely convinced that it doesn't matter, no matter who it is, you're just going to beat them at Brooklyn anyway, why are you even out here? If you're not concerned about them, if you're not even, like, worried about any of them, then typically I would say, oh, that she wants to be out there to scout them, but she's not sweating them at all. So why even bother being out there then?
Yeah, that is a fair point, dude. That is a fair point because I've even said before on this podcast, and this is what I got from Jericho's first book, and I never read the other. I believe he has 2 others out. That, like, if you're a heel and you're like running their competition and you're not giving them anything, then if you beat them, then who did you really beat? And if you're not really sweating anybody, then like they're all going to look the same to me through the prism of your title reign. You know, and there should be a hierarchy. Like, you should fear, again, in my opinion, a Kairi Sane based on booking more than a Dakota Kai based on booking. But if everybody looks the same to you and everybody is the same to you, how can I get hyped when there's no perceptible hierarchy there? You know what I mean? So
yeah, and that's the thing too, is that she really, like, even when they asked her specifically about Kairi, she said, oh yeah, and what has she done lately? Like, that's like, I love Ember. I love Shayna Baszler. I think she's a great champion, but the one thing she really should not be doing is just kind of scoffing and writing off and kind of discrediting any opponent that she might go against.
I will say, though, on another positive side on commentary, actually, no, I'll get to that a bit later. Going to the match, you know what the most heartbreaking thing about this match was to me? Because I'm just so full of positivity about it. Nikki Cross's in-ring stuff is really polished and look really good to me.
I'm telling you, man, that's what I've been saying that for, you might even be able to say years at this point. Nikki is a legitimately talented performer trapped behind a terrible gimmick.
Yeah, because between the inverted DDT she did to Candice on the steel ramp, the almost like Rings of Saturn like submission that she had on Candice, like in the ring at one point, and
the swinging neck breaker to the outside.
Yeah, that apron hung thing, like everything looked so good and believable, and like I winced, and I'm like, this is like a woman that can go. And
yet, even when she had that Rings of Saturn locked in, she had to go over the top crazy, and she was like pulling her hair out and shit while she was trying to set the thing up.
Yeah, it's like, and see, like, I struggle, right? Because the gimmick doesn't resonate with me, but you could tell, like, that's her idea of trying to, like, make it work. So it's not like she's just letting the gimmick just be limp and people take it what it is. She's trying to be animated. She's trying to breathe life into it, and I commend that effort. I feel like she puts more effort sometimes into her character than I'd like to see from other people with their characters, but it's just effort to me that's misguided because the whole thing is just gonna, for me, fails right out of the gate. I know we have very avid fans of Nikki Cross that are also avid fans of the show, like Storyteller Wes and others. But like, for me, the gimmick still doesn't click. And it's a shame because I will give her credit absolutely where it's due. Everything she did in this match was crisp and beautiful and just destructive in like the best possible way. Which, here's the other thing that I'm going to springboard off of that, made Candice look better. Because, dude, here's the crazy thing, right? I'll just give you one snapshot because I'm going all over the place because I fucking love this main event. When Nikki got the apron hung swinging neck breaker, I counted Candice out. I'm like, oh, she's out of this match. Like, that's clearly like the way she sold it, the way Nikki delivered it. They worked so well together. She's out of this thing. She's not going to be back. So when I see her like wrap her arms around Nikki's ankle and like get back in this thing, I'm like, holy shit, Candice is probably the toughest competitor in this damn match. Because she got DDT'd on the steel fucking ramp. She ate floor with a neck breaker from like a more elevated place. And she's still like fighting and honestly even on the cusp of winning. Because like you said, her lion salt is fucking gorgeous. So it made Candice look great. Like Nikki's offense being as perfect as it was and Candice coming back from it, that makes her look like a great babyface. And then of course, we get to my favorite. We get to the reason why Goodfellow is even a thing. We get to the human personification of just purity and happiness and love and peace. Fucking Kairi Sane, who between her interceptor spear, her anchor, which I fucking love that submission. You want to talk about believability? Like, yes. You know, like I love that maneuver and I love the save that Nikki Cross had. And then the fucking finish with the can salt, I think as Morrow called it, and then the insane elbow from Kairi, just all in one breathtaking.
No, he called it a cabrata.
A cabrata. Okay, a cabrata. Thank you for correcting me because I just want to know the proper terminology here. but then the insane elbow on, you know, Candice to her back, and it just looked devastating. And I really do like husband, like wife, I guess, in this case, because Candice, a lot like her husband to me, I thought her selling was on point here. I really loved Candice's selling in this match. And, you know, you knew with that elbow, obviously, that was the end. Nikki rolled out. It's, you know what, though? It does, and I didn't even think about this until now. It is a bit questionable that Nikki didn't eat the pin, because it makes me wonder if we're a bit farther along in a call-up, or we're a bit further away, I should say, from a call-up than I first envisioned, because I'm just like, what else is there for Nikki to do? And yet they went out of their way to protect her when I feel like Candice is the newer talent. You know what I mean? Like, clearly Candice isn't going to go anywhere anytime soon. She just got here. And
right, but at the same time, though, Candice was protected in the sense that she didn't lose because she wasn't the better competitor. She lost because of the chaos of the triple threat match.
That's true. And that is an excellent point. And
yeah, because like Nikki Cross would have lost straight up to Candice LeRae, because that was like a clean setup, clean execution. Candice had her beat, but then Kairi just really took advantage of being in the right place at the right time. Like, she was perched on the top rope, and then Candice wasn't watching her when she went for that pin. So Kairi really did. It was more Kairi taking advantage of a good situation for her than Candice being the inferior competitor.
And so Kairi wins, and she's going to take over Brooklyn, and I'm so happy for her.
And by the way, I do want to add that La Quebrada, which is basically like the proper Spanish word for what Mauro said, is literally just Spanish for springboard moonsault, from what I understand.
Okay. But yeah, Kairi did it. She's going to Brooklyn for, and I loved that Mauro pointed out that this is the rubber match, because Kairi obviously won the Mae Young Classic, but then Shayna, a while back on an episode of NXT, she did beat Kairi with the Kirifuda clutch. So this is like the big rubber match at a takeover for the title. And oh god, so good. And the crowd was into it. Like, the crowd chanted for all three women at different points in the match. It's amazing to me, though, that this late in her NXT run, Nikki is still as over as she is. Like, that crowd was so into her. But they were very happy for Kairi and her victory. I was very pleased with the response that Kairi got, because you want to know that the babyface is strong when, you know, when you're setting them up against that really dominant heel. And I'm so excited for this match. Let's go, Kairi. Bring the gold home. She's so beautiful. She deserves that championship. God, all the goodness overflowing. What are these feelings? But
dude, I was so glad when she won that match, because I did pick her to win last week. Just last week when we were like trying to figure out, who's going to win this. You picked Candice, I picked Kairi, and you were all like, oh, I can't think that she's going to win, because then if she doesn't, I'll be heartbroken and that kind of stuff. And I kind of saw it coming, man. I got to tell you.
I honestly thought, for me, what it came down to was, do they want to do the match now, or do they want to like prolong it and have Kairi go on more of a struggle? I'm obviously fine with them doing it now. No complaints.
The thing is, I still think Shayna is going to retain, even though if they wanted to take the title off Shayna to put it on Kairi, I wouldn't complain one bit. I do still kind of expect Shayna to retain, because it really does feel like Shayna's first big loss in NXT is going to be to whoever wins NYC2.
Yeah. I still agree with you on that. I don't know. The fan in me just wants her to win the title so bad, because she's so pure and so good. She deserves this. Like,
listen to you.
I don't know, man. The baby face in me has come out full force. I'm again, everything hurts and I'm dying, but now for a completely different reason, because this is too much goodness for one body to take. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great match. They already kind of have a built-in story, which I think makes getting to a certain destination a bit easier. And yeah, I just can't wait to see what they do with it. And yes, Kairi, yes, go for that treasure. Go for it with everything you've got. And that was NXT, and I'm happy, and I love wrestling, and I love Kairi, and all's right with the world. So,
all right, man. Well, I mean, that's it for NXT. God, we went for like a half hour on Lucha Underground. We've already gone for an hour here for NXT.
And I honestly thought this was going to be one of our more succinct NXT reviews because there were like a lot of interviews and video packages, but goddamn.
But those are the things that we talk more about. Like with the matches, it's just like brief overview of the spots we liked, who won, what's kind of happen in the future going forward with these people. But with NXT though, like with the video packages and the promos, there's more to unfold. There's more to unravel.
Absolutely. So before we get into our actually, I don't want to jump the gun. Did you have anything else you wanted to say before we transition?
Go.
All right. Before we get into our next segment, though, just real quick with the plugs, guys. TwitWoW, our social media, everything from Facebook to our Twitters is in the description box. My Twitter has the pinned tweet to collect Q&A questions. Q&A is in 1 week. It's after midnight here. So you've got 7 days to get
next
your Q&A
Thursday, guys. Use a date, John, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Next Thursday, the 26th. Q&A, get your questions in. My pinned tweet is dedicated to collecting those questions. If you're new to Q&A, 4 questions per Q&A. You can divide them up however you want. All 4 for me, all 4 for Ashton, or all 4 for both of us, which is the most common route people take. And you can ask about virtually anything. If we're uncomfortable with the question, we'll let you know so you can swap it out for another question. So you can submit them to my pinned tweet. You can DM me. The TwitWoW Facebook is another place you can submit questions. Discord, which I'll get to in a second, or even this video when it's done processing. If you wanted to comment your Q&A questions, you could do that as well. So pretty much YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. Ashton's pinned tweet, very important for the remainder of this month and most of August. It's the TwitWoW schedule. You're going to want to follow this because at the drop of a hat, we could switch the time of a recording or we can add a recording. I mean, perfect example. Just on Tuesday, we decided to do a live reaction to AJ Styles versus Andrade Cien Almas because it's Andrade and he deserves it. But, that wasn't originally in the cards, obviously. So you're always going to want to keep your finger on the pulse of what we're doing. This way you can be a part of all this TwitWoW content. As far as like everything else associated with TwitWoW, obviously the big thing we're doing is Patreon. If you haven't donated to the Patreon, please consider doing so. We have our big Patreon goal is Progress Live reactions every month. That goal is $120. We're currently at $100 the last time I checked. So if you want to help us keep doing Progress Live reactions through the month of August, the most you can do is donate $3 to join the Discord. And the Discord, really, there's me, there's Ashton, there's our most passionate TwitWoW fans. It's a great community that we've built there through the Patreon. We watch Raw and SmackDown together.
Just want to be perfectly clear, guys. That's not the most you could do, but that's definitely like kind of like the minimum recommended donation so you can get into the Discord.
Yeah, I kind of misspoke there. I meant the bare minimum that you could do that if you still really wanted to actively contribute and help, is the Discord. It's $3 a month. I already explained that it's a big community thing. And, as I always like to say, it's a win-win-win-win because you get to be a part of a great community. You get to help a team TwitWoW, and then, we get to continue doing Progress, which is more content on the channel. And you get to even have a little bit of a say in the content that Team TwitWoW produces because the more you're a Discord member, I always like to say, if you're a Discord member for 10 months, $3 a month comes out to $30. You could cash that in for a live reaction to a 3-hour show. In fact, we have a tab now on Discord for Patreon requests. So if you accrued the money and you wanted to cash it in, you could let us know right in that tab what you want us to do, and we will get it done. So, yeah, guys, please do consider donating to the Patreon. It helps us immensely, and we are very grateful. And, again, you get to be a part of a Discord and maybe even get a future TwitWoW video out of it. So I think it's one hell of a bargain. Outside of that, of course, is the Teespring. We have everything from superstar dedicated merch like Braun Strowman, I'm not finished with you. Kevin Owens, because he's a father, damn it, and more. We have TwitWoW specific merch. I'm a TwitWoW guy. I'm a TwitWoW girl. We're all about that gender equality here. And even Scum Squad merch like Scum Squad stickers and a mug to drink the tears of your enemies. And one day I will drink the tears of Kona Reeves out of a Scum Squad mug. And it'll be fucking delicious. So, yeah, please do check out the Teespring. We have a lot of offerings there. And now, with that preamble out of the way, we can get to our main event segment, high spots and low shots. And my low shot, let's see here. You know what is going to be Dakota Kai? Because, you've really got nothing going on. And Lacey said that she was going to beat you, and she did. So, another heel telling the truth. A lot of heels are very honest these days. So,
especially of the blonde white variety.
Absolutely. Coincidence? I think not. Who's your low shot?
I mean, really, I'm surprised you took Dakota Kai. She was definitely going to be my high shot or my low shot, but because you did take her, I'm going to take the sort of the simpler route, and I'm going to make my low shot Nikki Cross because she was beat multiple times in that match. Obviously, she was very over in that match, but she was beaten multiple times. And I don't think that she had anyone beat at any point where, like, she had someone beat and then it got broken up or anything. She did some breaking up. Like, I know there was one point that when Kyrie had Candice in the anchor, Nikki broke that up. But there were multiple instances throughout that match that one of the two other women had Nikki beat, including the very end when Candice had her beat with her lion salt. Obviously, then Kyrie ended up taking advantage by pinning Candice, but I still want to kind of give Nikki the low shot, mostly because she kind of was made to look the least credible out of those three women.
Makes sense to me. As far as my high spot, that's fucking obvious. It's Kyrie, number one contender and soon to be future NXT Women's Champion. She's coming for the treasure, and it's not too late to join her pirate crew. It's amazing and full of love and friendship and hope. And she's my high spot forever and ever. So go and win that championship, Kyrie. Elbow her right in the chest and break her lungs. So, yeah, that's my high spot. Who's your high spot?
I mean, really, you kind of had a great point earlier. We might as well give a kind of a unanimous high spot to the production team for the video packages for Black Ciampa, the War Raiders, and then the Velveteen Dream video package or the vignette or whatever you want to call it. So I just want to do like the massive kind of props, shout out to them. But for my high spot, you made it a little bit more difficult on me because of the fact that, Nikki, or because I really don't want to give it to Lacey Evans. And you gave it to Kyrie. So, I think I will. I will just kind of take the opt out here, and I'll just give it to Cassius Ohno because you kind of reminded us, like, yeah, I'm better than this. You can't just put me against a local talent and expect a competitive match. It's going to be 15 seconds. And kind of begging to be given better competition, really. So I can appreciate that.
Absolutely.
You know what? I'm going to give my high spot to Ray Rowe for cutting some damn fine promos tonight on the mic.
Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised you just didn't take the out and be like, because he's always my high spot, I'm just going to go all the way with it and make it Adam Cole this week and fuck Lacey Evans. But yeah.
Well, no, Adam Cole is my high spot every week. So every week he's on. I have to specify. He has to actually be on the show for him to be my high spot.
Right. But no, I mean, Rowe's a great choice. I think he had an amazing promo. I think it was the kind of thing that War Raiders really needed to be more than just like a gimmick of just two guys that happen to be brutes and really dominant. Like, this really gave them a dimension that I think they needed. And now I'm more ready than ever for them to have their NXT tag title run. So great choice, dude. I love it.
All right,
any concluding remarks about NXT tonight?
No, sir. Let's close it out.
All right, guys, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-owner commentary, Ashton. Guys, be sure to comment on the video when it's done processing. Subscribe if you haven't already to your new favorite wrestling podcast, and like the video. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top search result for NXT reviews on YouTube. When you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So please leave that like. And I am going to take my own advice here. I know we've got G1 Climax Day 3 A Block live reactions tomorrow. That's going to be at 4 p.m. EDT. It's going to be our go-to time there for G1. And I'm not really seeing anything else for Thursday. So, yeah, that's the only commentary we have.
No, yeah, there are our only commentaries for the next 4 days is G1 every day.
Yeah, so it's getting ready.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we've got G1 days 3, 4, 5, and 6, respectively.
So it's going to be a very heavy G1 period, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
The next commentary that we have that is not G1 is Progress on Tuesday.
There you go. There you go. So there's the breakdown. And again, all the more reason why you should follow Ashton and especially the pinned tweet he has of the TWitWoW schedule so you can keep your finger on the pulse for any changes that come. But yeah, we will see you guys tomorrow for more A Block matches at 4 p.m. EDT. Until then, guys, tune in and peace out.